Hey lovely ones, and welcome back to the Wellness Business Show. How you doing? Today's episode, I'm going to call it now, is one of those episodes, the ones that you just have to save, the ones that you'll be sending to your business bestie, the one you're going to come back to when you're sat in front of your laptop like, what do I post? So if you've ever found yourself stuck in the scroll, collecting inspo like a squirrel hoarding acorns, desperately hoping one more safe post will finally unlock your own content, then this one, my lovely, is for you. If you are throwing content out there and it's just not landing, or if you're winging it every week and just praying for a bite. If you're out here reverse engineering someone else's content or someone else's posts, if your saved items on Instagram are just full of other people's posts, then you're hoping that if you can dissect them enough and find the skeleton of their post, then you will find your content strategy. Then, yeah, 1,000,000% you are going to want to listen to today's episode. Because today I'm going to walk you through the exact content formula I use to build trust, to create visibility, and of course, actually make sales. Now, even better, I'm going to show you how to stop scrambling and start batching so that you can stop living in content chaos and start feeling like the boss, the CEO of your business with a solid strategy. Okay, so let's get into the 5 pillars that honestly have totally changed the game for me and my business. These pillars, they are really important and intentional because they speak to different types of buyers. When you're thinking about your content plan, you're thinking about what you're creating. It's not just about what sounds good, what could be inspirational, what might make people react. Like how many of us are getting loads of likes, engagement, DMs, but no one's actually buying. So these content pillars speak to different types of buyers, which is really important. They nurture people at different stages of your journey. I think too often we underestimate the fact that there are so many people on your content, eyes on your content at any one time, yet we are kind of talking to the same person at the same point. So for an example, if you are in a launch and you feel that you're having lots of conversations with people who are curious, who just need that little nudge over the line, you might start to move your content and create lots of content like that. Things that are giving people answers to those final nudges that they need to make them say yes. But what about the people that you haven't heard from yet? What about the people who just today heard of your offer for the very first time? So it's really important that we create a content strategy that not only makes sure that we say the right things to your potential clients, but who also meet them at varying places in their journey. So the same person is witnessing content that tells them first about the offer or the information that they need to know. But then maybe a few days later, when they're really thinking about jumping in, is giving them those last little nuggets they need to make their final decision. And I want your content to feel purposeful instead of painful. I want you to feel like really confident in what you're saying next. I don't want you to be lying in bed at night hoping the universe is just going to send you a light bulb idea last minute on the final day of launch. I want you to know that anything you are promoting, any idea that you have, those moments where you're like, oh my God, I cannot wait to get this out in the world, that you just know in your back pocket, you have a robust plan to carry that out and execute the launch in a way that not only feels secure, predictable, makes you feel really confident, but helps you to hit those goals. So, content pillar number 1, myth busting. This is the eye roll stuff. The overplayed, outdated advice in your space that's still floating around like it's 2011. And your job in this pillar of your content is to call it out, reframe it, bring your audience in to the new paradigm. This pillar is really not about being controversial. It's about being really clear. Now, often the myths that we address in this pillar of content are kind of widely agreed upon in your space. They're not like that out there. It may be that clients haven't heard of it yet because it may be a bit of an insider secret, but your peers aren't going to be particularly shocked that you've shared it. They may be shocked that you've been the brave one to get out there and say it. But if you and they were in a room, you'd all be agreeing that this is just eye-rolling stuff. Now, it's important that you share this because it actually starts to really leverage your insights, your wisdom. It helps to position you as someone that's out on the leading edge. When you think about people you've invested in the past, it's exciting to invest with someone that you feel is ahead of the curve, that you know that maybe some of the same eye-rolly stuff that you've been thinking about, they're thinking about too, and in which case they're going to release you from that kind of fear you may have around having to go down that same path or address something you've looked at a million times and really not got anywhere with. So that first piece of content, you need to brainstorm all of the myths that surround your service and make sure you're creating content to bust those myths. Now we're going to turn things up a little bit. So our second content pillar is polarizing opinion. Now this is the spicy one. So this isn't about busting myths that everyone already kind of agrees with. This is really about calling out stuff you personally cannot stand. For me, I created a piece of content recently around Instagram, and I want to take you down the journey of how I got here because I think it's really helpful for you to see how this piece of content came about. So I work, as you know, with wellness business owners who want to start and grow their businesses. Now, one of my clients' greatest challenges is visibility, hence why I create content like this. But what comes alongside the I don't know what to post, I don't know what to say, is also the fear of judgment. So what are people going to say about me? What is Sally from my old school going to say when she sees me having the audacity to rock up on her Instagram and talk about my latest offer or my business or my goals and dreams? What's it going to feel like when I sit around that table at Christmas and my family, and some of whom I haven't seen for a while, who have only seen me through my Instagram content, are going to be sitting there thinking, oh, isn't that sweet? That little business that person thinks they have. Oh, it's a bit awkward, isn't it? That what they do on Instagram. I don't really get it. A lot of people say, I don't really get it. What is it you do? I don't really get it. And so all of that makes us want to recoil, and even if we have a stellar piece of content we want to share, overthink whether we really have the space or the right or the voice to go and share it. So this is a real pain point of my clients. So this idea for a piece of content came, which was both something I strongly believe in and something that I knew would help lift the lid for my audience, help them to reframe this fear. And that was creating a content around, I think the first line, you can still see it on my Instagram somewhere, says, people judge me for sharing my life on Instagram. People think they know everything about me because they follow me on Instagram. And this thread, this carousel went on to say that it's ironic that people will judge me for doing that. And people do judge me. I know that. And that's okay. I've come to peace with that. But for many of my clients, they haven't. And they're still stuck in that place of fear around the fear of judgment and what will other people think. And this is a genuine journey of mine. I started to have this realization that whilst those people that were judging me about sharing my business and sharing, building a life for myself and my family through using a tool like Instagram, were the same people that were sharing photos of their kids, of their holidays, of their renovations, of their lunch through their personal Instagram accounts. And it suddenly made me realize, why is that okay, but what I'm doing, not? And I don't have a personal Instagram account. Whilst I love Instagram and I do share some personal things on Instagram, I use my Instagram for my business. And I started to think, which camp would I rather be on? Would I rather be creating content strategically, just like I'm teaching you here, in a way that enables me to create income for myself and my family and impact for those that I work with, helping them to create stronger, better wellness businesses? Or would I rather just be kind of opening my phone on a Friday afternoon and sharing what I had for lunch? And the answer to me was obvious. And so I created a post calling it out, kind of being like, I'm over here championing you all, and let's not worry about those other people because I don't know if I really want to be them. So that was me really creating some polarizing content that I knew would get a reaction, but that would get a kind of sense of like, I'm flying the flag for my team. So this is a really powerful piece of content. This isn't about creating disruption and being polarizing for the sake of it. It must be something you are genuinely passionate about. This is often, particularly with my one-to-one clients, because I will map this all out with them, the pillar that makes my clients go, oh my goodness, I'm so nervous to post this, Kirsty. But it will be the type of content that gets you the greatest response. And when you're confident and you start to build that muscle, you realize that it's not really that scary at all. It's really about just being the voice that your audience need to hear. And again, this will really help to solidify you as someone who is not afraid to say what's needed. I always say to my clients, most of my clients are, well, they're all in the wellness space, but most of them are in the coaching space in one way, shape, or form. So even if they're not a traditional coach, a lot of this work that we do involves an element of coaching and support. And I always say to my clients, well, coaching starts way before someone says they want to work with you. So your potential clients are out there watching how you move and how you deal with certain things to see if you're the right person that can call them up, that can hold them to account, that won't kind of tolerate the BS that maybe is out there and really has a skill set that can see through all of that rubble. So that second pillar is so important. Now, our third pillar is results-driven value. Now, this is the one that most people already do a lot of. So you're giving people a quick win, something that makes them feel better, clearer, stronger in the moment. The kind of like 3 steps to X, or it could be a really quick, simple recipe. But from that one post, just from that reading one post, one email, one episode, so this could be one for sure, this episode, they are going to be able to implement something that you teach and get a result. So this is often the lane we're most comfortable in, particularly in the wellness space, because we feel a sense of like giving. I want to give, I want to help. So it's really useful. It's really important that it's in there because it shows you know what you're doing. We do not want to get rid of this content pillar. But if all your content lives here, you will end up friend zoned. Let me say that again. You will become the most useful account on Instagram. You will become a video that gets shared with everyone, a podcast that gets downloaded by many, but you will become friend zoned by potential clients if this is the only type of content that you create. No one pays their friend to coach them, right? So if they're getting free advice, they're going to stay there. Now, your fourth pillar is storytelling, and this is where you bring all the feels. This is an incredibly important pillar of content, one that you really want to focus on and master. So this is telling your story or telling your client's story. But I really want to emphasize that this is not about just getting a testimonial video and throwing it out there, a few words that a client said, all gushy, and throwing them out there. The reality of this kind of content, and I know people don't like me saying this because when you get a message, when you send someone a feedback form and they send you some gushy words and you go and share it, we kind of get that same feeling as when we look at, I know, we're in the supermarket and we look at something that looks like not particularly natural or organic and it's just like 100% natural, like natural flavorings or whatever, like on sweets or something. And we're like, well, you would say that, right? It doesn't feel totally authentic. Now, that's not to say that we don't believe it. That's not to say that I don't believe it. Like, I'm sure these are real words from your real clients and you are epic. But what happens when we just kind of throw it out is we lose the story. So actually, it can often be a lot more valuable when, and you'll have seen this out on the online space, when people share screenshots of messages, when people share like the audio of voice notes, a really heartfelt, like obvious exchange between two people as opposed to one that's a bit more posed and polished. Now, the reason that works is because it becomes part of a story. And when we think about a story arc, it's not just like, that was amazing, I can't wait to do that again, my life has changed. That's not what moves us. What moves us is like, what was the problem in the first place? We want to know. why did that person come and work with you? What was going on for them? Like, what was the problem in the first place? We then want to know, like, we want to deepen it. Like, what do they have to go through to get there? What was the journey? What were the false starts? What were the failure spots? What were the moments of like total transformation? And then we want to get that. We want to get the transformation story. What then happened? How can you measure it? And that's often when you'll see that's when the testimonial comes in. And then you want an invitation. So then you want to be like, if you are this person, if you're going through something similar, if you've tried all these things, come and, jump into my DMs and let's explore if it's a good fit. So storytelling in its nature, I don't want it to look like an kind of obvious plug of how epic you are. I want you to be out there telling us how extraordinary you are, how amazing your work is, how many lives it's changing. I really want you to do that. So don't get it twisted. But I want you to do it in a way that really honors this pathway. And I can give you a super simple kind of story arc for your content. You could jot this down. You just want a hook. So the hook wants to be that first line of like, what was it? Like it needs to be something that is going to connect with the story of the reader. Like the hook needs to pull us in. It needs to be disruptive. It needs to make us go, oh my goodness, I want to know more. Stephen Bartlett's podcast teasers are like that, right? So the hook, the cliffhanger. They're like, oh my God, what was it? This story, a bit of the story, and then it goes. We then want to go into the journey. So, I mean, we could just use Stephen Bartlett's Diary of a CEO podcast as a whole example of this, but then the whole episode is pretty much the story, right? We want to know, tell us more about this client's journey. Tell us about your journey. So this doesn't need to be a client story. This can be your story. And make sure you're telling us your story enough. I still have people in my world that have no idea I used to be a massage therapist, no idea I used to be a practitioner, no idea I ran a day spa for 13 years, because there's new people coming into your world all the time. So tell us the journey, tell us the nitty gritty, like get in the trenches with us, like reveal how hard it was, and then tell us the transformation, and then tell us what happened, and then tell us how things turned around, and make sure you always follow up with an invitation. So stories sell because they help your audience see themselves in your world, which again, obviously is why they are incredibly important pillars of content. So finally, your fifth pillar is objection handling. So we want to be thinking of the obvious objections like, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, I don't think I can do this, I don't think I'm good enough, I'm not confident enough. So these are not just sales objections though, they're like content prompts. So your job in terms of your content pillars and your content strategy for any promotion is to make sure that you are like 10 steps ahead of the buyer. So knowing what the objections are going to be before you start creating the content is everything. You tend to find that you start to get an objection world once a bit of momentum's got going in your promotion. Then you start hearing that, oh, I'm not sure if I can afford it right now. I'm not sure now's the right time. I just don't know if I've got what it takes. I've tried something like this before. It hasn't worked. I think I'm going to wait a little bit longer. Fill in the blanks. And at that point, people have often already started to make up their mind, which is cool. That's our job, right? Is to help people have all the information to make an informed decision about whether they want to work with us or not. But if we can start to address objections early doors. So if you're in the Wellness Business Club, if you're in my membership, I give you my full 5-step launch formula. And in that we have our runway and our warm up. And in our runway, we really want to make sure that we are already speaking to this stuff. We are so far ahead that almost before that seed of doubt enters our clients' minds, we've addressed it. Now, we may well have addressed it in a way to be like, yeah, you're right. Now isn't the right time for you. But let's not make them walk the whole launch process to get to that decision. Let's just get them moving away early doors. But most of the time, we'll start to support and guide them through some of those objections, which are often fears, right? Which are often fears of failure. And so they want to support themselves as much as possible to help them get the results they want. As I said, your journey with them starts way before they say yes. So when the time comes to sell, you're not talking them into anything. They're already in. They've already got all the information that they know. They've already got all the information that they need. So let's just run through those 5 pillars again, because super important that your content strategy speaks to these 5 pillars. So we've got the objection handling, we've got the polarizing opinion, we've got the results driven value, we've got the myth busting, and we have your storytelling. So once you know these 5 pillars, you can literally run any content idea through them and create a solid, balanced, sales generating, most importantly, plan. But there's a few little things I need to say to you before you get going. So before you even start creating your content, here's what you need to have first. You need to understand your service inside and out. You need to be crystal clear on who it's for. And you need to have mapped out their problems, aspirations, and objections. Now, Wellness Business Club members, you'll know exactly what I am talking about. You can go and get your message mining document out and run these pillars immediately through it. Now, also, of course, as a club member, you have these pillars, you have a full, robust content plan in there with these pillars, with everything else that you need. But it's really important for me to emphasize this idea of understanding who your service is for, inside and out, which will have meant that you've already done your problems, aspirations, and objections for that service, just to make sure the service is even viable. I don't want you to be out there selling anything if you haven't got those robust 3 columns, making sure you know in abundance what those people's problems, aspirations, and objections are. And once you're there, you can run them through these 5 pillars. So from there, you can take any offer and reverse engineer your content plan using this formula. So it's about knowing what you're selling, when you're selling it, and who you are speaking to. And then these 5 content pillars fill in the blanks and take your strategy from a loosey-goosey, winging it, kind of not even a strategy, to rock solid. Now, here's the thing. Your content can be absolute gold. But if your visuals don't match your message, then you're doing your business a major disservice. Your words could be working really hard now, but your visuals might be shouting, "This is amateur hour." Now remember, we need stop the scroll visuals in order for people just to get to the copy. I want you to think about how you move on platforms like Instagram and what first catches your attention. Now, if your copy is solid, but your visuals are just Canva templates and they look like everybody else, we can't see you in them. You haven't allowed us to build this big, strong visual brand identity with you, have an emotional response to yourself, like your face when it comes up on our grid. It's really hard to get people to read your copy. So this is exactly why I created the Big Picture Day. It's part strategy, part brand shoot, and all about elevating how your business shows up. So you'll walk away with a full 90-day plan that we build together, content pillars and all, 10 brand new pro shots that you'll be proud to share and that you can marry this epic content alongside. And we'll make sure that you understand how to curate and structure that scroll stopping content. Now, it's happening on November the 28th. It's a Friday in my local town of Brighton and Hove. We have a gorgeous venue right by the sea and it's nearly 50% sold out already. So if you're starting to get all the feels about creating some of that ninja content, but you just want the plan, the strategy, the ideas, and the visuals to go alongside, then come along and join us and grab one of those final spots. So head over to kirstykianifudd.com/big picture. I shall put the link to that in the show notes and I would love to see you there. But as always, I want to hear from you. So slide into my DMs over on Instagram. I'm at Kirsty Kianifudd and let me know which pillar you're going to double down on or which one makes you want to run for the hills. All right, my lovelies, so good to see you here. As always, I shall catch you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.